Alright, welcome back for day 3 of building this Crosstrek. I just got the tires mounted and balanced earlier today, so they're in the truck right now, so let's just unload those and then we'll get started working on this thing. Alright, before we start on the front, I'm going to throw the back wheels on, just so I can get the back lowered down, which will actually raise up the front a little bit more, because right now the front's sitting a little low, even though it's on jack stands. I could still do it underneath, but if I put the back wheels on, lower it down, the front will raise up a little bit. So let's throw the back wheels on. Alright, so now we're going to start doing the front bumper bar. So in order to do that, first thing you have to do is drop that lower, under cover that covers the engine. You got to take that off first, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you what areas you have to cut / modify to be able to mount that bumper bar. Alright, so I took the undershield down. I have it right in front of me right now. The bumper bar doesn't come with any instructions, so what you have to do is you have to go on LP Adventure's site, and then they have a PDF that you can download. The PDF shows exactly the measurements that you need to take in order to make the cuts on the undershield. So right now I have them all drawn out, basically on both sides. Let's see if I can get this on camera. Both sides you have to cut out little tiny squares. That's where the front strut things are going to come down from the bumper bar to hold the new under bumper bar in place. So that's on both sides, so it's over here as well. This side you might not be able to see. Yeah, there you go. Got to cut those out. Then towards the back, towards the center of the car, you got to cut along here and all the way over right around this bolt hole. So this is where the basically these two holes right here are 14mm bolts that you take out and you replace with longer ones for the bumper bar itself. So I'm gonna get to cutting those and I'll show you the after product. Alright, so I made the cuts, so here they are. Like I said, you have to cut this chunk out right here, and also these small little square pieces on either side. So now splash shield is ready to go back up. What we have to do first is that we have to pull the fender liners down a little bit in the front, and then we have to install the front strut pieces that I'll show you right now. Alright, so now these pieces, these are super nice quality, full stainless steel, so it definitely will not rust. These bolt up, one on each side, just like this, against the factory crash beam, one of those bolts, which it gives you longer bolts in the kit, right there. And then these lower pieces hang down through those small little square pieces that we just cut out. And then that'll allow us to bolt the front of the bumper bar on, and then this part's cut out right here for the rear section. So I'll try and show you as best as I can the area where these things bolt onto. Like, I could barely even see them just with my eyes, so I'll see how well I can get it on camera. Alright, so the bolt we need to undo is that one that I have straight in the shot right now. That one, which is very, very difficult to get to because it's in the bumper bar, well, the little front bumper area. So what I'm going to get it with is just this, just a 3/8 ratchet, deep socket of a 12mm, and I'm going to try and get that bolt out. Alright, so I didn't show you me struggling, but I got the strut in, so it's right there. It comes down. See, it pokes out just a little bit at the bottom, and it bolts up into that factory crash beam bolt right there. So that's already tight. Driver's side is good to go. Now I'm gonna go move over to the passenger side, and then we're done with the front. Alright, so I now have both the struts on. There's one, there's two. They both hang down just a little bit. Just enough to get the front bumper bar on. So now, right now we'll throw the undershield back on, and then the bumper bar is ready to start getting installed. Alright, so now we're ready to put the bumper bar up. The two front strut areas that I was just installing bolts right onto these, right onto the side tabs. And then there's just these two in the back that go to some 14s that we replaced. It comes with all the hardware. What I did first is I'm going to do the two front strut ones first. That way I could just let it kind of hang loosely, and then I'll crawl underneath and I'll get those two lower 14s. And then we'll tighten it all up, and then we can throw the skid plate on. Alright, so I just finished up installing the front bumper bar. So now it's 100% on. I can actually literally put all my weight on it if I wanted to. Like right now, it's not moving. It's all bolted on underneath the two front struts that we had to install, and then the two back 14s that bolted right to the subframe. So now the bumper bar is all in place. It's time to put on the skid plate, and then we'll get on to mounting and wiring the light bar. Alright, so this is now their skid plate that bolts to the bumper bar. You can't mount their skid plate unless if you have one of their bumper bars, just because it bolts right to it. So the bumper bar has threaded areas in the front of it for the front section that goes right down into here and there. The back section, which is right in here, those are two 14mm bolts that you have to undo out of the subframe first. The instructions show what to take off, and then it has new supplied 14s with spacers that you put on. So I'm going to go under there, take off the factory 14s, and then start fitting the skid plate into place. Alright, so I got the skid plate installed too. Just got these 17mm bolts right there in the front, and then towards the back it has the spacers that go on the other side of the skid plate. That has the two 14s that go on either side of the subframe. So now all the LP Adventure stuff is done. Alright, so the light bar that I chose for these kits is the Rigid Industries E-Series Pro 10-inch light bar. I got the spotlight option, so I already installed the brackets on the sides. Real easy to figure out. And then the harness, the reason why I went with rigid is the harness is literally all plug and play. It's just power and ground right here. This goes to the harness, this goes to the light bar, and then it has its own relay, own fuse, and then the switch itself, which has three connectors that go to it, and the instructions show which color connector goes to what. So that's why I chose the rigid lights. I've always had good luck with them in the past. The wiring is real plain and simple, real plug and play, so you can't go wrong with them. So now let's start making mark some holes. We'll drill the bumper bar and we'll mount up that light. So I originally wanted to use the mounting brackets that the bumper bar has on it, but the front plate bracket gets in the way. So what I have to do is I have to drill some holes in the bumper bar itself. So what I just did, right off camera, I measured the center line of the two center mounts, which is now right here. So this is the center of the bumper. Next, what I did is I measured the center of the bolt hole to the center of the bolt hole on the LED light bar. And then I found the center line of the light bar itself, matched it up with this, so now I have the two marks of where the bolt holes will be for the light bar. So now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to hold up the light bar, find a good spot for it where it's level. I'm going to, mark the latitude line, and then I'll be able to drill the holes, and then we can mount it. All right, so I found the marks for where I'm going to drill it. So now I'm just going to go get my drill bits. I'll drill the holes, and then we'll test fit the light bar. All right, so I just got the light bar all bolted up. I'll spin it so you can see. Some 10mm bolts go right through the bracket, right through the bumper bar on both sides. So now there's the here's a connector piece for the connector for the harness. So right now I'm just going to leave it loose because I got to do the wiring now, the fun part. So let's get going on this wiring. I'm going to have to take apart the interior of the car a little bit, and then we'll be done. Alright, so for now, for the interior, I'll show you basically what I just took off. I had to remove the little trim, the little knee trim that comes up and around over here, right underneath the steering wheel. I also took out the airbag, and probably don't need to, but I took out the knee air vent that attaches right up in there. I took it out just because it'll give me a better area just to get basically that harness straight up in there. That's where I'm going to be feeding the light bar wire through. So let's get to wiring. Alright, so I'm running out of battery on my camera, and it's getting pretty late at night. So what I've got so far done with the wiring is that I've wired it down to the LED light bar. So that's all wired in. Next, I gotta start just hiding all the wiring in the engine bay. I gotta get this for the switch to go through the firewall, and then bring that into the interior of the car to mount the switch. And then I just got to mount the relay to the firewall, tuck some more of the wires, and then we're done. That's it. So for now, thanks for watching. That's a wrap for day 3. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to turn this into day 4. And I'll see you tomorrow.